Welcome to the Singer 404. Straight stitch, slant shank or slant needle, cast aluminum, steel and iron sewing machine. This was the second generation of the slant needles, the first being the 301. This is a little heavier than the 301 and does not have a pop-up handle for portability. It's a little more heavy duty. It can be portable in a regular case, but it's really made for being in a table, and it's got a nice big work area here and does beautiful straight stitching, especially for quilting. So a lot of quilters like the little 221K, the 11-pounder, or the 301A, the 16-pounder. I think this one is about 19 or 20 pounds. So we'll do a little tour of it here, and then I'll do a sewing demo. You have a nice feature here with just a pop-open front end. Has a nice stitching diagram here in the front for you. Typical nice needle bar, take-up lever, presser foot lifter, the classic Singer tension mechanism for the upper thread. What changed with the 400 series was this front drop-in bobbin area, and also the throat plate or needle plate lifter here, where you, instead of dropping the feed dogs, you can move this lever and pop the plate up above the feed dogs for darning and for mending and so forth. And you could also continue the lever all the way to the unlock to completely unlock the plate for removal. Whoops, this has to be down for removal. Let me get that back. That wasn't too good. Get this all the way down for removing the plate so that you could take this off, and there we go. So you change the plate, clean the feed dog area. There. Adjust the feed dogs, which seldom needs to be done. You can see the lever goes underneath and pops the needle plate up and down like that. Let me just pop it back in here. We'll lower the plate back down. Now the Singer 404 was made to use the Class 66 metal bobbins. For a few years now, I've been using a Class 66 plastic bobbin. I always get the Singer branded. But the reason why I do that is that, you know, after this goes around in the bobbin holder a few million times, it starts to wear that down, and the bobbin starts riding lower into there, and it can start snagging the bobbin thread underneath and make you skip stitches. Also, a lot of the foreign-made bobbins have this little centerpiece here that sticks out, and when your bobbin case gets worn and that starts riding low, the thread will catch there. So that's why I started using the plastic Class 66. We have a light, we have the work light. You can see it's external here because the slant needle moved everything forward towards the sewer. So that's why this is out here. This is also aluminum. It's got a nice solid glass cover over the light and a little magnifying bubble on it to help put more light on there. This is the stitch length. So you can loosen it here. You can go from 6 stitches per inch up to the 20. Then you can even get into the fine area for embroidery. And up into that fine area you can get almost 30 stitches per inch. Very fine stitching. And as a lot of these singers, when you flip it all the way up, it throws the machine into reverse sewing. So if you like, let's say we're going to go stitch of about 10 here, you can tighten it up and kind of lock that in. So if you throw it up to reverse and throw it down, it won't go below 10. Here's the bobbin winder mechanism. Little tire, snap the bobbin on, push it up against the wheel. When the wheel turns, rotates. This is an adjustable fill. Grab this bobbin here. The idea with this is if you want it to automatically stop when you throw this up, this can be adjusted to push inside there, so when the needle or when the bobbin starts to get full of thread, it'll slowly push it away and stop turning. So that's what that's for. This is a spool holder for when you thread your bobbin. This is a little bobbin thread tension disc, spring loaded like the upper tension, and it also is adjustable with a screwdriver. So if your bobbin does not wind evenly, maybe you're going from a light thread and then you're going to sew a heavier thread for canvas or jeans or leather, if you need to, you can adjust the tension on this so the bobbin fills evenly. We can just creep around this a little bit here. You can see the power cord, the cord for the foot pedal is down here. This is how you disengage the clutch, just a quarter turn like that, so you can wind the bobbin without running the bobbin and holder and the needle and the feed dogs. Then to sew, you just turn in a quarter turn back to the right or the back. Here's your top thread holder. Let's go ahead and wind a bobbin. I do it a little backwards here because it's easier for me to start this on the bobbin first. There's a little hole on both sides, so you want to go in between the end plates and you want to get that thread to come out and up a few inches out of the bobbin. So that's always been easier for me to do before I put it on the bobbin holder. Just slide it there, push it up against the wheel. We'll disengage the clutch and we'll bring this down through the bobbin tension disc there. You can see that. And then I like to have the thread coming off of the back side, so this will turn counterclockwise when we start winding. So when you're ready to wind, we'll just grab a hold of this. You can put it here if you want, or you can just kind of hold it in your finger, and then we'll just power it up and start winding. So you see that thread is going back and forth, back and forth. I'll slow it down a little. That means that the bobbin tension disc is fine. It's going to feed the bobbin thread. It's going to wind it very nice, not too tight, not too loose, up, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. You just break that off after a while. Thread's all gone, so that's enough, I guess. Now we'll re-engage the clutch so we'll be able to sew, and we'll just pull that bobbin off. And there we have a wound bobbin. So let's put the bobbin in the bobbin holder and slide the plate open. Going to have the thread coming from the left to right. So when it comes off, the bobbin will be going counterclockwise. I like to hold this. There's two little slits right here in the bobbin holder. That's the tension spring. You're going to bring the thread into the tension spring area and then back out. So we'll just hold on to that. You see it now, it's right there between the tension spring and the case. And then we'll bring it back out this other side, the upper slot. Just lay it across here and we'll close that plate with the thread coming out there. Then to thread the upper thread, you're going to raise this up as high as it'll go. You're going to lift the presser foot, because that releases the tension on the tension disc here. Yeah, they're loose. When it's down to sew, they're tight and they're applying tension on the thread. If you try and thread the needle in this position, the thread won't get in there and you won't have the right tension and you'll have a big rat's nest. So we'll lift that up. We'll take our thread. I bring this from right to left so it will come off clockwise. We're going to go up here through the upper thread guide. It kind of goes around that little hook like that. We'll come down here and go right between that guide and in between a set of that disc. And we'll come back to this side. Now I put a little tension on this because we're going to come up. There's a tension spring right here. Tension spring. And we're going to come over that hook. That'll keep the thread going right between the tension discs. And you see that tension right there. And we come back through this guide. Now we're going to thread it through the take-up lever. And I think I'll trim that off a little bit. The newer take-up levers have an open slot so you can just pop it over and into the hole. But this model of machine from the 50s, you just thread it through there like that. There's a good way to test your tension. Now is to put the foot down, put tension, you start at 0, and you start, whoops, get that back in there. You should start feeling some drag on it, and as you go forward it puts more drag and more drag and more drag. Now here's the tension area thread guide. Hook in there. Then the bottom thread guide. The needle bar thread guide. And there's a little slot right here in the actual needle holder. And I try not to forget that, so it just keeps the thread going in a nice straight line into the needle. I'm using a number 11 needle for this. And these needles, the flat side of the needle goes to the back, which puts the long groove in the needle in the front. And then you're going to thread the needle front to back. You always want the thread to face the bobbin hook. Ooh, I got lucky. So there we go there. I'm going to got it a little loop there. Let me undo that. Okay, and I lift this back up because I want to put the bobbin thread, hold this tight, and I'm going to just roll the hand wheel toward me, have the needle go down, and I'm going to pick up that lower thread, I think. Okay. How come that's not picking up? Oh, there we go, got it that time. I think I was holding the red thread too tight. So now I've got the bobbin thread coming out of the little hole for the needle. And you're going to want to put both of these between the toes of the foot and out the back. Leave about a 3 or 4 inch tail back there. This is a pressure adjuster for the presser foot. So if you're sewing a lighter fabric, you can rotate it counterclockwise and loosen the pressure on the pressure foot. If you're going to be doing heavier fabric, canvas and leather, you can really crank it down and put more pressure. And look at the room under there. You can put some pretty good stuff, thickness of material under here for quilting and so forth. Okay, so we're going to put this bobbin winder back down. I got about 10 stitches per inch. Let's see if we can sew something here. Just take a couple layers of cotton poplin here.